All right, hello everyone. My name is Disc. This is a Mythic Zero Skyreach. We're finally in the rotation of dungeons we're going to see. So I wanted to throw one up this morning showing a Skyreach. And I didn't do an intro in this one for a couple of reasons. One, I'm hungover. Two, I didn't want to. And three, sometimes I'm just not going to do an intro. It's a lot of editing. But let's see how this goes. I wanted to get some content up, show something fresh that the channel hasn't seen since beta. But I am back to Voidweaver. If you're wondering about my talents, I'm banked into penance. You'll have to ask more in the comments. But yeah, comment, like, and subscribe. Check me out on Medify. Book a private lesson. So, yeah, in these front pulls, really all I'm doing is making sure my focus target and my damage is going into the big one, the Dread Raven. Seeking executes. Throwing uppies here just for the uptime, if you will. And in this pull, I would say the biggest thing you should focus on as the healer is watch for these repels. Fear Bomb. So with my Platinator, all important casts stand out as that aqua color. Uh-oh. I would have been real mad. So this pull really does demand the group. You really have to rely on others. So although I got a really nice Fear Bomb, and I think I interrupted casts, you only get one Fear Bomb. So the rest of these have to come from the team, potentially. If you're doing Skyreach this week, I would put your back against the wall, because it's probably going to happen, like the entrance wall, the exit wall. I got lucky that I didn't die. But put your back against a wall, set up a Fear Bomb. You could even tell your group something like, hey, on boss platform 1, make sure you get your kicks. Come on, mage, I'm trying to help you out here, man. Okay, Mythic 0. Not too much to think about. But you might know this boss somewhat already. When it comes to timing your heals, where you're going to place your Mind Blast and Rift, you want it on top of the fan of blades. And the tricky thing, maybe someone can check the timers on this better than I can. The fan of blades is slightly quicker than the cooldown of your Mind Blast. So there does come a point where you don't have your Mind Blast like on time, especially in higher keys. Yeah, heal the fan of blades, dodge mechanics, and I think maybe one of the only other tricky things is if you're targeted with that single target hit, to make sure it doesn't punt you off or punt you into the ground damage. Okay. I have the biggest mob here selected. I think that's going to be the best focus for us, the Solar Elemental. Have a really good job interview today. Looking forward to it. Grid 2 for the win. Seeing the blue in the presence of Atonement is a game changer. Okay, we have Evangelism. I'm sure I play it. Handful of dots out, picking one of the big mobs here. And I would say as you're doing these M0s, obviously what you're doing is preparing for higher level keys. This room is very different when it gets a little bit harder. So you'll see in party, these laser beams, those will need paints ups. Those will need defensive penance. And it looks like actually if you get the targeted casts add-on, it'll pair with your grid 2 beautifully and gives you an indication of where the beam is going before it lands. So that's really nice. Yeah, targeted casts add-on, great for Disc Priests. There's a lot of times where you can get ahead of damage. Okay, and similar to pretty much everything in M0, this boss is very different in higher keys. So you have to get in these beams. I would say as a healer, you should probably get in every beam. These beams are going to need pain subs, personal defensives, defensive penance. On an M0 though, you can get by just with attacking the boss and atonement healing. But it looks like on the first one I played Fade, here on the second one I played Fade. But I would be playing Desperate Prayer as well. But the way it goes is you have 2 rounds of beams and then a big supernova. So this is where you are going to need the full group atoned, running some sort of personal defensive if you can. I play Desperate Prayer there. But it's really just a game of how well can you manage your defensives. Honestly, I think this boss should be nerfed a little bit. Cancelled my rift early. Not a problem on M0. Okay, we have uppies to play, evangelism to play. I should be playing shields to help my pain sub cooldown. In between combat, always a good idea. So also, I don't think I get targeted here, but the little birds do a fixate. You can see it on your party frames, but they will eat your ass in a bad way. So if you're targeted with that, get away from them. God, I'm hungover. Me and my friend were out by the fire pit last night, catching up. Hadn't seen him in years. It was really nice. Chain smoked cigarettes, you know how it goes. Okay, so on this boss, all we're watching for is Sun Break. Spawns an add. There's upfront damage, followed by ticking damage in group. That is where you want to place your Mind Blast. Also, I'm not sure if I'm going to give anyone a good example here, but you're going to want to attack that bird too. In higher keys, he's really no joke, so you want to get him down, especially if you're playing Voidweaver. You want to hit the little bird, with your damage, so he dies. It's tricky though, I would say when it comes to your Mind Blast and your Rift, you want that on the big bird. You may have heard me talk about it before, but, and you probably know this as well, your Rift will follow the mob that you cast the Mind Blast on. The problem, if you cast the Mind Blast on the small bird, you're going to miss out on the collapse of the rift, yielding any damage or healing. Oh my god. Yeah, so let me try and say that again. So it's that little bird, if you notice, like when he dies, he'll kind of sit there for a second with a health bar. Even though he has a health bar, he no longer is taking any sort of damage. So if your rift is following the little bird, by the time the rift collapses, at least I'm not the only one dying. Yeah, by the time the rift collapses, it's not going to land on an enemy. So, your rift needs to go on the big one. Potentially, your Void Blast can go into the little one. But as the healer, we need the collapse of the rift to return as healing. So we need it to hit. That took me a long time to get that thought out. But I hope that makes sense. And you'll notice, if you cast your Mind Blast on a little bird, if you just want to, check me, or, whatever, you'll notice what I mean. Okay, so I think we have a messy couple of pulls here. Something maybe I didn't realize, and I learned from this key, that rappel we saw on first boss platform, we have rappels here too. So this is an area to still be vigilant with your fear bomb, because you can really save a pull. Let's see. Oh yeah, here it comes. Ooh. Okay, yeah. So I honestly, I mean, I've done this key so many times, but I didn't realize rappels were still up there. Your Psychic Scream can save the day. Yeah. Let's see, what can I talk about here? Voodoo Casting Bar, I highly recommend. I've been working with the add-on. He's kind of become the add-on author, kind of become like a little buddy of mine. If you don't have it yet, that's fine, but I would say in a week or so, he's pushing a major update to it, and I will let everyone know, but I would encourage you to get it then. It's, it does, the cast bar coloring. I just really like that. Uh-oh. What's going on? So, okay, I think what happened there is we tried to pick up the recovery. Picking up a recovery is not always that easy to do. I think I underestimated what was going on. I definitely should have Pain Septum immediately. Let's see if we can pick up the pickup recovery. Shadow Meld, just because I don't want to die. Evangelism, Death. I feared? Was that a repel? Okay, so that was crazy, right? Okay, so this, you'll never see this again. I think he pulls all of it. So I'm thinking, holy crap, not going to be impossible being M0, but let me do my best job here and see if we can all live. So let's see. Okay. Desperate Prayer and Fade are played. Paints Up is out. Rift is out. Puppies. So on my way up, I played a Penance. You only get one bolt when you do that, but it'll spread your dot. We have Rift again. I could have gone execute into my Rift. That's fine. Early forced collapse of the Rift for the grab, and we all lived. But speaking of dot spread, as this boss ramps up here, there are 2 talents in our book that assist in dot spread. I've been toying with the idea of taking no dot spread talents to bank them places that are a little bit more potent. And I think where I've landed on the matter is I just can't do that. For example, well, this actually isn't a good example, but there are many bosses that are purely single target, no adds. If you're taking dot spread talents, they're going to go to waste on those type bosses. So a dot spread talent mainly helps trash, and I guess my point of view on that is helping trash is still a good thing. We're playing Expiation, we need dots out. Okay, but M0 done. Got some loot. Yeah, I guess that was it. I'm liking having an AUG. You might have seen me post an AUG video. I'm looking forward to doing more AUG content, but honestly, managing an alt at the start of an expansion like this is a lot of time, and I don't know how I'm going to do it. But I think, obviously, the mainstay of my channel is going to be Disc still, but as my AUG gets tier set and, like, becomes a, you know, a solid alt, I'm going to be posting that content too. I really like the gameplay. It's nice for me to have something different. I've made a lot of really good graphics for my editing over there, which I'm proud of. But yeah, that was the key. Hope you learned something. Tried to talk about things that might be a little bit different. Check me out on Medify, comment, like, and subscribe on the video. Thanks for watching, and until next time, Disc.